sure I got time somewhere. Okay.
Lucky day.
Might be mine anyway.
We're ready.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. It's now 6 o'clock, so we're going to get ready to call the meeting into session. Just make sure we're all set. Thank you so much. So at this time, we're going to call the Town of Mangonia Park regular Town Council meeting of March 5th, 2024 into session. Roll call, please.
Mayor Alberry,
Here.
Councilmember Davis Quinn,
Here.
Councilmember McConnell.
Here.
Thank you so much. We do have a quorum. At this time, let us stand for our invocation, please. Most kind and gracious Father, we thank you again for this day that you've given us. We thank you for all that we've experienced thus far. We pray and ask now that as we enter through this meeting, that you would guide our thoughts and our minds and all that we say and do. We ask that you will continue to bless the town and all that enter in. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen. Pledge of allegiance. Excuse me. Pledge
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. You may be seated. So at this time, we'll attend to our agenda. Are there any additions, deletions, or substitutions to the agenda?
Mr. Mayor, no changes to the agenda. We do have representatives from Let's Move here. That's on consent, and perhaps they'd like to say a word or two. It's your pleasure.
Okay. Thank you so much. All righty. Seeing that there's no additional items for the regular agenda, is there a motion to approve as submitted?
Make a motion, we approve the agenda.
Motion has been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Has been properly moved and second. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Aye. Pose same sign. It is carried. And of course, on our consent agenda, if you have an agenda, feel free to follow along with us. Any items that you see annotated with an asterisk is for our consent agenda. We have items 4A, which is a proclamation declaring March 2024 as Let's Move Month. We also have item 4B, proclamation declaring March 2024 as Florida Bicycle Month. And those are the items that we have thus far. Are there any items to be considered for addition or removal from the agenda?
No, sir.
Okay. Item A, I would like to remove from the consent agenda only for the purpose of allowing them to be able to present before us. Okay. All righty. So with that, seeing that there's no other additions or deletions to the consent agenda, is there a motion to approve? Motion has been made as amended. Is there a
Second.
second? Properly moved and second. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. It is carried. Thanks so much. So at this time, we're going to go now to our proclamations and presentations. We're going to begin with Let's Move. We just wanted to give an opportunity to present to us. So if you had anything you wanted to say, and okay, feel free to just join us at the podium. And when you come forward, just introduce yourself and your name and your address.
Mic check. Okay. Good evening. A little nervous.
Oh, it's okay.
It's just us.
But this is actually the first year we've been doing the Let's Move for since 2012, and this is the first year that the town of Magonia is behind the Let's Move. So that right there is a huge milestone for Digital Vibes. To give you guys a little insight with Digital Vibes, we are empowering our youth through dance, fitness, technology, and the arts. Digital Vibes predominantly in the after-school programs throughout Palm Beach County, serving predominantly elementary students. So we're currently at 107 after-school programs throughout Palm Beach County, and recently expanded to Martin County. So tonight I'm here to chat with you guys about Let's Move. Let's Move, it's a really cool initiative which was put together by our First Lady, Michelle Obama, back when they were in office. Palm Health Foundation thought that was a really cool initiative, so they made it a county-wide initiative. So what it is, it's basically inspire and motivate our residents to take control of their health by doing any type of physical activity. It could be running, walking, dancing, whatever it is that you're doing, as long as you're off the couch and moving, you do that. So with Digital Vibes, we created a website where you're able to create a team, motivate your team to do any type of physical activity, and log in those minutes that the teams were able to work out that day. It shows you in the leaderboard who's in first place, second place, and so on and so forth. So it's a city versus city challenge. For 3 years in a row, we have the village of Wellington win the challenge for 3 years in a row. So I would like to challenge the town of Magnolia to take part of this challenge and give some really good, pretty much to really make it more challenging for the village of Wellington to win the challenge. When this initiative first started back in 2012 by Palm Health Foundation, Let's Move, Palm Beach County logged in 100,000 minutes. So Palm Beach County was really moving. Fast forward to last year, Palm Beach County logged in over 103 million minutes. So that's to show you guys that Palm Beach County truly championed this challenge. With Digital Vibes, we went to the state capitol to seek the state, to make this a Let's Move initiative where it's year-round. Something like that cannot happen just the month of March. We have to make sure that happens on a day-to-day basis. Not only this challenge bring people to take control of their health by doing any type of physical activities, but at the same time, it brings our residents together. It gives our residents a reason why to come together and collaborate. So that's what it's all about, and I truly appreciate you guys being behind this challenge, and I'm hoping to see when we go through the list of cities, towns that's really taking part of the initiative, that we see your name is on there as well. So thank you so much for the time there.
Oh, certainly. And thanks so much for presenting. Let's see if there's any questions or comments as it relates to the Let's Move. Okay.
That's great.
All righty. Now, if you would, in terms of and engaging and being a part of the program, is there like a sign up or something like that? Because we can beat Wellington.
And I have no doubt about it at all. So to sign up, we created a website. The website is letsmovepbc.org. As we speak, you'll be able to see on the leaderboard who's leading. Palm Beach County School District is fully involved in this challenge. Right now, they're currently in first place, but they have not won the challenge yet. So this year, superintendent was like, "No, we gotta come in first place." So right now, they're really motivating and inspiring their wellness champion at each schools to really get behind this, so that way they could come in first place. So every year they come in like in third, fourth place, but this time they're aiming to come in first place.
And this is only for the month of March, is when it takes place?
Yeah, so it's the whole month of March, and hopefully we put in a state appropriation, and we also put a county appropriation. So hopefully we'll get some funding, so that way we could make this Let's Move 365. So that's the ultimate goal, is for us to be Let's Move 365.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, the way it's currently constructed, I would, excuse me, sorry. I would imagine March is the official, but do you have activities beyond that, like April, May, and the other months as well?
Right. So that's the goal. The goal is for us to, come up with different activities throughout the every day throughout the year. That's the ultimate goal. When it's all said and done, our families, we trying to eliminate the excuse as to, hey, there's not much activities in my area to do with my children, in that sense. So where we have plenty of fun, friendly activities for our families to take part in, where they're doing all those physical activities and that they're not knowing that they're doing those exercises. So that's the goal, is to trick our parents or kids to take control of their health by not even knowing about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so if I were to log on to the website, let's say in April or May, and I'm just trying to understand at this point, so it's like videos or something that's out there, and they participate officially in March, but
Right.
And the website is live all year long, though, right?
So the website is live all year long, but right now the most activities happen between the month of February and March, and some April, because we do a big celebration where we announce who comes in first place, who comes in second place, and the team that comes in first, second place, they win a grant from Digital Vibes, so that way they could continue their physical activities with their kids or so on and so forth.
Okay. Well, let's say that that we want to beat Wellington and
Right.
and every other municipality. Would we be able to log onto the website in June, and if there's some like modules or something out there, would it still be out there? Although it's not official, we'd be able to sort of practice, and so that when
Right.
March rolls along,
Those are great questions, and those are that's one of the main reasons why we're doing this, so that way we could get input from the residents, so we could we were doing this without knowing that we were doing it. On our website, we do keep videos. We do videos where for our senior citizens, so that way they could do easy dances, in that sense. So those videos are on the website. So once you click on the tab, the video tab, which is the gallery tab, and you click on videos, you'll see there's some videos where you could do some easy workout, some easy dances which you're able to follow along with. So we keep that year round. So with that question that you asked, it got me thinking. I'm like, oh, maybe we could do some more videos, some more activities where we're able to, you know, make sure that it's housed on the website, so that way people could continue doing what they're doing year round. You know, so that's a great idea. So hopefully we'll be able to get that county appropriation and the state appropriation, so we could get the manpower, so we could keep that going.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Because we do have a senior program, and they do chair exercise and all of that, but as opposed to trying to reinvent and come up with new ideas, if it's already out there, we can just
That's
kind of
right. Yeah, nah.
jump onto it. So, okay.
That's what it's all about. And I wanted, this is off the record. Digital Vibes is currently at 107 after-school program throughout Palm Beach County, but yet we don't have a home yet.
Oh.
So we're looking for a home,
Okay.
you know, like a office building where we're able to bring a technology art center for our kids. So we had one in Northwood, so they're remodeling the whole area, as you guys heard, you know, so we had to be out of there. So if there's, if, you know, Mongolia would be the home for Digital Vibes, if there's something out there, so keep us posted. Yeah, but I
certainly.
would put that out there.
Definitely. Okay. Let's see if there's any other questions or comments at this time. Okay.
Sounds good. Thank you so much for your
Certainly.
time.
And thanks so much for coming and presenting. We appreciate it.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Thanks.
All righty. Okay. So with that, we're I felt to do something. I had asked to have it removed so that they can present, right? But then I didn't follow through to make it item something else.
That's okay.
Back to
All
the
you needed to do
approval.
was pull it, which is fine. So now you
Okay.
just need a motion and a second and a vote to approve it, because you pulled it. You're fine.
Okay, great, great, appreciate it. So with that, we heard the presentation, and it was on the consent agenda. So with that, well, it's an action item at this point, and what is your pleasure as it relates to approving the proclamation for March, proclaiming Let's Move Month, as stated in your agenda? Is there approval? Is there a motion for approval? A motion has been made to, excuse me, to approve the proclamation declaring March 2024 Let's Move Month. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Has been properly moved and seconded. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Aye. Pose same sign. It is carried. Thanks so much. Our next proclamation, of course, is declaring March, I'm sorry, it's consent agenda. Our next item is item 4C, and this is a presentation by the town engineer, David Stenbaugh, from Kevin Giorgiano and Associates. Well, you have it. Okay.
Good evening. David Stanbaugh, Calvin Giordano and Associates. Thank you for allowing me to speak this evening. We're going to talk primarily about the water treatment plant and the elevated water storage tank, specifically that deals with the ladder that was found to have some corrosion recently. And what's on the table now is to consider repair or replacement of that ladder, or some other options that we have been exploring. So I do have a handout that was provided in your packet. It's labeled Town of Mangonia Park Water Wastewater System Improvements Update, March 5th, 2024. The following page just gives those discussion topics. The latter being the first topic, and I did follow that up with a previous handout that I provided that evaluated some options for the ground storage tanks, which we covered recently. I have added to that with some considerations of how to address the ladder for the elevated tank. On the next page, I've got just a couple bullet points. The title is Mangonia Park Water Treatment Plant Elevated Storage Tank Ladder Repair / Replacement. Just a little background on that structure. It's 100,000 gallon volume roughly, stands about 130 feet in the air. During a recent inspection of that tank, which is required by the regulatory bodies every 5 years, the tank, the ladder itself was found to have some corrosion and was not usable by the inspection company. So through that came some quotes for either repair or replacement. There was a wide range in those proposals, those quotes, ranging anywhere from $30,000 to nearly $200,000. So you can imagine that $200,000 number really hit a mark with me, and I'm started to thinking, is that the wisest use of town funds? Is there some other options to be considered? Ultimately, it is an elevated water storage tank, which is not necessarily common practice if that plant were brand new today. It is also made of metal, of steel, that does corrode, hence the ladder corrosion issues. Pardon me for not remembering everything, but I believe back in 2008-ish, that tank was repaired. So there has been a history of some repairs needed on that tank. Ultimately, there will be a time, I'm not saying how long that will be, that where we really are sitting here evaluating, is that tank reaching the end of its useful life? I'm not saying that that's the case right now, but we have to keep that in mind, that all things do have a useful life, and at some point, we may have that discussion. Today, it's a ladder corrosion. Could it be something different down the road is essentially the point there. So imagining, is there a better use of those funds, we started to consider, right, do we repair it and then end up possibly with some other repairs that we just keep up with as kind of a routine maintenance? Do we replace the ladder so we eliminate that from being a concern? Of course, there could be other parts of the metal structure that pose issues with corrosion. Option 3 is really where we started digging into this because, as you guys know, I evaluated some repairs of one of the ground storage tank that's also metal, that's had some corrosion issues. So now it made me think, do we incorporate something different than an elevated tank on that site? Again, elevated tanks aren't really a common practice today, and utilities, if they were built brand new. I think primarily because, you know, elevated tanks, you are limited on your pressure that you can provide to the distribution system. That tank is only 130 feet tall. It's never getting higher, it's never getting lower. That's the pressure that's going to be provided to the distribution system. Common practice today would be a pump system that runs basically around the clock and providing your system pressure. With that, through certain instrumentation and controls of those pumps, you have the ability to vary pressure. You could end up improving our hydraulics. There's a lot of things that I started really considering. Is this something that we really want to consider, and which is why we're here tonight? As you guys know, we have had some concerns with fire flow, with pressure and flow in certain areas of the town that has come up during different development opportunities. This could be a way to remedy some of that. Really don't know, but we do have some flexibility if we went with that pumping system. Just to be truthful with you, there are some drawbacks. There are some additional costs that have to be included in that project. It would not be only dealing with the tanks themselves, but you would have additional pumps, additional electrical and instrumentation systems. You could have a need to improve your emergency generator backup power, because now you have heavier loads because you have more pumps. Maybe even the horsepower of those pumps have to be greater than what's there today. So there's pros and cons to everything. That's the purpose of me looking at this really from a very high level to see if there's something that we want to continue to look into. Again, you know, it's really the point, what we're after tonight is some awareness that we haven't been sitting on the idea that the ladder is corroded and is an issue that needs to be addressed. It's really been a goal to try to look into another option, just because we don't want to put all of our eggs in one basket, so to say, or really be heading in the direction of ladder replacement to the tune of a couple of $100,000 without looking at another option to present to you. So I'll go on to the next page, and I know we'll have some questions and some discussions, but just to conclude it, the next page is the ground storage tank assessment bullet list that I provided last time. Essentially, that's the same thing, whereas we were looking at one of the ground tanks that has 175,000 gallon volume capacity there. It is showing some signs of corrosion where it has been leaking. It has been repaired multiple times. And we really landed on, ultimately, that is deemed to have reached the end of its useful life, and we are looking to replace it. I'll get straight to the point on this page. Down at the bottom, we originally talked about an option 1 and option 2 scenario. Option 1 was consideration to rehabilitate that tank and then add another tank with additional volume to address some fire flow storage needs, deficiencies that we have. Option 2 was to get rid of that ground tank altogether, that 175,000 ground tank, and replace it with one bigger tank to the tune of about 285,000 gallons. Again, we're going bigger because we wanted more volume for fire flow storage. So what I've added here to this page is an option 3, and that's essentially simple math would be get rid of that 100,000 gallon elevated tank and build a brand new, roughly 385,000 gallon ground tank. And again, please note that there are some additional improvements. It's not just tanks, it's also some pumps, electrical and instrumentation improvements needed as well. I've just provided in your backup just some diagrams. One is the original fabrication drawings for that elevated tank. Just going to note that I believe the date, if I can zoom into that page, is 1969. You know, certainly I wasn't around when that was being built, and I know there were some repairs done in around the 2008 era. The following diagram is a site plan of the water plant where I've simply highlighted the different options. The red box is where we left off with option 2, and I added the blue box for option 3. So again, it's really just to highlight, I'll conclude the presentation, open up for questions. It's really just to highlight some of the things we've been looking at, just to make sure that you know we've been exploring all options before we move forward with a tank ladder repair or replacement option. I'll stop there and open any questions.
No, sir. Well, Mr. Mayor, just to add a little bit to that, and that's a lot of the conversations David and I have been having lately, and also Councilman McConnell has been very busy with this also. So the direction that we got from Town Council a few months back was to evaluate the ladder and determine if it was a better option to replace or repair. Now, since that time, we've gone back and really looked at the history of that conversation, and this happened about a year ago, a little bit over a year ago, when the inspection team, our tank has to have an inspection every 5 years. The inspection team arrived on site and determined that the ladder that's up around the tank, the smaller ladder, was unsafe for them to use. So as a result, we had to get a lift. We had to rent a lift for them to go up there. So that started the conversation, and our former utility director, so I had to go back and call him and get a little bit more history, and the thought became, if we have to replace that ladder, we might as well go ahead and replace the whole shebang because we're going to need to do it anyway. So that part of it, I really didn't discover until after we had the conversation. So David's correct. There's different options to repair, to replace, and also there's now options to repair or replace the ladder that's by the tank, or repair and replace the entire system, the entire ladder system. So Councilman McConnell and I, we've been talking to the different contractors, getting some different ideas. I tasked David with looking at this a little bit closer, and you know, the idea of looking at this holistically and seeing if this ties into the overall master plan that we're trying to get off the ground for the water plant itself. So that's a little bit more background. Of course, the technical questions have to go to David.
Okay, thank you so much. Any questions or comments from council?
Well, I mean, I don't see us doing anything major right now. So it looks like to me we got to decide what we're going to do with it. Because if you go the other route, if you're talking about demoing the tank, that's going to cost money. then you still gotta build tanks. You gotta have, so I don't, I mean, I'm not seeing that happen right now, and the ladder, it needs to be fixed. So, I think we're gonna just have to make a decision on the ladder, what we're gonna do with the ladder. Now, I don't know if anybody went up there, checked the welds, or anything like that. And in previous meetings, I'm not an engineer, but I am a certified welder. And I have been for 50 years. So, I'm the grunt that they send up there to look. The engineer don't go up, architects don't go up, I go up. And now that you got the computers and all the technology, they want pictures, they want to sit in their office and look at pictures. So, a grunt like me is the one that goes up there and takes the pictures. So, I mean, we gotta do something with the ladder. And, I mean, all the other stuff is well and good, but I just don't think the town's prepared to start doing anything like that. And I, at the last meeting that we had discussed this, I was looking at repairing it. And we have a quote for that, and now we have a quote for replacing the whole ladder, which is quite expensive. But the other side of the coin, if you're gonna demo it and start building new tanks, it's gonna cost you a lot more than $200,000. You're looking at millions. So that kind of leaves me at, we need to repair it, and we have a contractor that says he can do it, and I think we ought to think about it before we spend $200,000 for a new ladder.
Okay. Ready? Okay, other comments or questions? Okay. Ready? As David was stating, and I think we all agree, you never want to throw money out to bad, and we don't know how much service we're going to get. So while we are just having preliminary discussions regarding some other options, just a couple of questions. If we were, let's just say that we were to get a grant for $5 million, and so financial problem solved. Where would we put a storage tank that would hold at least the equivalent or more gallons than the elevated tank? Where would we propose to build that?
And I can show you on the diagram, but if you recall, we were talking about building a bigger tank, and I'll use general directions northeast corner of that area, but we've already identified a location before when we were talking about addressing the corrosion issues on that ground tank. So it's in the same spot, just to cut straight to the point. It's just to make it taller.
Okay.
So it's a ground tank, and this is not a can-style tank that's taller. As you get your additional volume by just elevating the top of that tank.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I mean, and very rough calculations is 50 feet tall. But there's a lot of, as you grow bigger, you can get shorter. I mean, there's a lot of things that we can still look at to put that tank there. But essentially, you're getting rid of something that's 130 feet in the air, and you're going to put something in that's a third of that.
Mm-hmm. All righty. So again, just in the conversation, of course, predicated on the idea that we have the money necessary to do it. So if we were to take down the elevated tank, which holds about 100,000 gallons, the additional, where we currently have the tank that we're discussing that has the corrosion and all of that, that tank would just go away as well, and then the bigger tank would be built that would house, that would also have the capacity of the current ground storage tank plus the elevated tank capacity?
Yes, sir. And just to note that there currently is 3 tanks on site. Mm-hmm. There's 2 that are on the ground. There's one that we talked about that has the corrosion issue that's 175,000 gallons. Then there's another steel tank that's 60,000 gallons. So the idea in that option 3 would be to end up with the remaining, the existing 60,000 gallon tank stays, and we build a new one that's roughly, what did I say, 385,000 gallons. And then what goes away, what gets eliminated forever is the elevated tank and that existing 175,000 gallon tank that we talked about before that has the corrosion issues.
Okay. And again, I know this is just preliminary discussion, but just an educated guess. Total build-out would be about what? Just an educated guess. Taking it down, building it up.
You're going to put me on the spot. What we did to try to get in a ballpark number was we've had a local tank manufacturer provide a quote for the 280,000 gallon tank. That number came back, and these are budgetary numbers. That number came back roughly at, I'm sorry, I don't have that in front of me, $600,000 to $700,000 range. Now that's just tank. That's not pipes and pumps and any of the other appurtenances that have to be addressed there. So all we did was we tried to say, okay, if it were a linear situation where, you know, 700,000 gallons got you this many, or $700,000 got you this many gallons. If we wanted to get this many more gallons, what would that number be? And I think the increase was roughly adding another $300,000. Now I'm gonna caution us all. That's not really the way to do this. That was just to give us a ballpark idea. What we really should be doing, it's not a linear assumption, is going back to the tank manufacturer and getting a quote on that. But rather than go back and forth with a bunch of different scenarios, it was better for us just to get that ballpark concept in our mind and then come to you and discuss if we want to keep pursuing that option. But that would be the next step, is to seek out a budgetary number from those that know it best, the tank builders.
Alrighty. Then, of course, the pumps and then, of course, the actual building of it, additional cost and such. So an educated guess in terms of just, and again, this is just conversation at this point. So your best educated guess would be in terms of just turnkey. If we were to take it down, build it up, would be about 2.5.
I mean, that would be a reasonable assumption, yes.
About 2.5.
And the time.
Yeah.
How
So-
long would it take to build it out?
Yeah, and it's definitely a topic we should explore. So just timing-wise, inspection every 5 years, that topic. You know, one was done, and I don't know how the exact date. Let's say roughly 1 year ago. So in 4 years, because we're required to do it every 5 years, we have to do another tank. Hopefully, we would have whatever implemented by then. If we didn't, would we just simply have to prepare for the man lift that was used to get the inspector into that tank again, just to give us a little bit more time? I don't know that there's a huge time constraints in that, because we inspected it before. We could always get them up there and inspect it again. Now, is that good practice? No. I mean, I think we should be moving in a direction. We should not just kick that can down the road and say we're going to keep doing that. But so I don't know that there's a pressure on us from that standpoint to where we will not be able to inspect that elevated tank in 5 years. So there is a time constraint. Obviously, we talked in the same type of discussion. What kind of time, what kind of life do we have left out of that existing 175,000 gallon tank that's had multiple repairs? You know, that's a hard one to say too. I mean, do we really know today when the next leak is going to occur or whatever? So the timing is something we always need to be aware of, but I don't know that we have that up against the wall timing issue right now to do that. But clearly, we've got to move in a direction. And the discussion that town manager and I have now is that we're talking about a lot of different things at the water plant now. You know, we were talking about a 175,000 ground tank. Now we've incorporated the elevated tank. We've also talked about some redundancy improvements with process improvements at the tank. We're doing a lot of little, I call it piecemeal. I mean, that's nothing wrong with that, but we're doing a lot of little individual things. We're also going after some funding sources for improvements there. You know, it just makes me wonder at some point, do we pursue this in a holistic fashion rather than doing one step in each time and then hoping that they all come together in a cohesive manner at the end?
Well, certainly. And that was a thought, in terms of just the questions itself, of that if indeed we somehow got a call, hey, we just approved for 2.5 that you didn't know about. Then, of course, at that point in time, we say, yeah, it makes no sense to throw money out to bad. You're going to tear it down, spend up to $200,000 to do that. There are other things, of course, being pursued, and so that was the import of my questions, just to kind of figure out what would be our ask in these different avenues that we're currently going. So, okay, all righty. Tapestries are fine, and quilts and all of that, but of course, we want to do everything at one time if we can. So, okay, I appreciate it. Any other questions or comments? Okay, all righty. Any other questions to the presentation, Dave?
No, sir, I think that's it. Like I said, our goal was just to evaluate realistically pros and cons, and there are both for either scenario and either direction that we go. So it's certainly understand either opinion of what we think is best for us.
Okay. And just,
Bless you.
and just for clarity, we got quotes, and now initially I thought that the quote for the repair was 20-something thousand.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That sounds familiar.
All right. And now we have something that's anywhere from, what was it, 200 and something, up to 200 and something? Am I adding something to something else?
Mr. Mayor, I think the lowest quote we had for a repair, if we're talking about the ladder, was around 30 to 40. And that was for the repair of the ladder up top. The entire replacement of the whole ladder system would be 200 plus.
All righty. Yeah, I thought it was, I had it for a moment, got that confused. It was the repair and then, of course, the replacement is what it was that made the 200 and something quote. Okay. All righty. It's not an action item for tonight, but just definitely conversation for consideration because that will come before us. But at this point in time, David, you said we're not up against a gun as it relates to replacing that ladder, or?
Well, again,
Better yesterday than tomorrow, but.
keep in mind, it's been brought up, right? So we are, we do owe it to ourselves to keep pursuing what we're doing. But
Okay.
my thoughts listen, it's an every 5-year inspection. We could get someone up there in a man lift again, although that's not ideal. And let's just say that if we had to get into that tank prior to that 5-year, to that next inspection point, again, we're now going to have to get somebody up there. Those things cost money, just so you know. I mean, anything that we have to do that requires something other than that ladder costs time, and there's risk. So.
Alrighty. Yeah, I can imagine I'd be charging a whole lot just to go up that high. I mean, just the hazard.
Well, why don't you come
associated
on
with
up there with me and we'll check
No,
on that.
no, I can go as high as an airplane will take me, but not without being strapped. So, no thanks. But we appreciate you. We appreciate you going up there. I've always advised you not to, but thank you. Okay. Well, thanks. Anything else, David? Okay.
No, sir, that's all.
Okay, thanks so much. We appreciate it. Okay, so we'll probably have that the latter issue come before us for an action item. Feel free to talk with Ken if you have any questions regarding it, because that we will have to deal with that soon. Okay. All right, thanks. We appreciate it. Okay, our next item, if you're following along with us, is item 5, our Palm Beach County League of Cities Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Nice to be with you this evening. Just a calendaring item. The next league meeting this month is March 27th at noon. They advise that you get there at 11:30 just to be sure you're getting the parking spot and getting in the door. This month, it's at the Field House at Old School Square in Delray Beach. I was not able to find, I don't think they've posted who the presenter is, so I'll bring that back to you at the next meeting. But just for your calendar, the date and also the location down in Delray. And that's it, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, thanks so much. Any questions for our committee as it relates to our Palm Beach County League of Cities? Okay, if not, we'll continue on. Our next item is our item 7. We have item 7A, and this is a consideration for approval of a purchase to replace the grinder pump for the master lift station. Okay.
Mayor and council, this item, it's come up. This is something that wasn't budgeted for, but we always have money in the budget for stuff like this when it does happen. So what it is at the master lift station, it runs off of 2 large grinder pumps. one of those pumps has failed, can't be repaired, and to the Councilmember Davis Quince, I found out today the shop that we take these to indicated that this pump was made in the late 80s. So we got 30-plus years out of the one that's failed now. So the warranty will be for 5 years, but we did get 30 out of this one. So, so currently, the master lift station's running off of one grinder pump. A grinder pump is just simply, it grinds towels or other items that may come through the system, keeps everything moving. So we have 3 quotes. 2 of them, I'll say, are accurate or legitimate. The number 2 quote that says $18,400, that one we'd have to disqualify because it's not the right size pump. Fred did call them back and say, hey, this is the pump that we need, can you give us a quote? And they just never responded after that. So really, number 1 and number 3 would be the 2 quotes for this particular grinder pump that we need. And of course, the recommendation would be to go with the XM Water Solutions at $24,380 as opposed to the $37,164. I'll do my best to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you so much. We'll see if there's any questions from the dais as it relates to this item. Any questions or comments?
Did Palm Beach County Electric Motors, did they say anything about why, you know, they're that much higher for the same pump?
No, I say we, the utility director calls them up, tells them the size and the horsepower that we need, and they quote based on that. And no, I did not get a reasoning for that. Of course, from what Fred's saying, these can range anywhere from 20,000 to 50,000. And one thing that everything is 6 weeks out. So maybe for Palm Beach County Electric Motors, maybe they saw that as an additional strain or something that may take them longer than 6 weeks. But everyone's saying a minimum of 6 weeks to actually get it in. But outside of that, to your question, no, we weren't given a reason for the higher price.
We do business with all these anyway?
We do, yes, sir.
I guess that's their price. That's their price.
Okay. So we all done? Yeah. Okay, we have a question from Councilwoman Davis. She's a little hoarse. She was saying, what was the original price?
The original price back in the 80s? No. We got one, I think, when we were having our agenda review yesterday, and we got Fred on the phone, and he indicated we had one that was 6 years old. I think that one was close to 30,000 at that time, so.
I think at Burke Oil, something, we replaced one.
What's that, sir?
I think around Burke Oil, some years back, we replaced, 4 or 5 years ago. something like that.
That's correct. Right.
Okay. All righty. I'm sorry.
It's a little cheaper now since it was 6 years ago.
Yeah, and I think a different location as well, where we placed that one, because that was, well, won't call out any companies, but there was a lot of material going in, rugs and everything else going into the system, had to grind up. Okay. All righty. But they took a look at all of the specs and made a recommendation that this is what we needed, and so the recommendation from staff is for the Xylem Water Solutions quote at $24,380.
Yes, sir.
All righty. We'll see if there's any other questions or comments. If not, the recommendation is coming from staff that we approve the purchase of a grinder pump from Xylem Water Solutions at $24,380. What's the pleasure of the council? Is there a motion?
Yeah, motion.
Motion has been made by Councilwoman Davis. Is there a second?
Second.
Has been properly moved and seconded that we purchase a grinder pump from Xylem Water Solutions for $24,380. Are there any questions on the motion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Councilmember Davis Quinn,
Yes.
Councilmember McConnell,
Yes.
and Mayor Alberry.
Yes.
It passes unanimously.
Thank you so much. Our next item is item 7B, and this is a consideration for approval of a bill of sale presented by the Town Attorney Bernard and Sturridge Rentals of America, also known as SROA, referring to the town's new water line. Okay, Amity?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just briefly, this has been discussed at previous meetings. I think at the last meeting, the two gentlemen were here from SROA, and there was some talk about the water line. So this is a typical bill of sale. You've accepted these. The most recent one you accepted, or approved rather, was for the Enclave property. Different scenario, but what this bill of sale involves is the water line that was discussed that was found to be during the initiation of construction at that new project, found to be not within the town's utility easement, but actually on the private property. So as was discussed at the prior meeting, the line was moved, a new line was installed within the easement. So this is a bill of sale for the town to accept that new water line. You'll see on the second paragraph, and I apologize, you got a late addendum to this today because we were working on the total linear feet, but the document references 750 feet plus or minus of the 2-inch line. There's also an as-built drawing that David provided to me that will serve as the exhibit to this document, which shows the actual location that it's been installed. So again, a standard legal document for the town to accept it. As you know, this has to be a town-owned water line. You are the utility provider, so you have to take ownership of it because it is going to ultimately serve those residential properties that are right behind the SROA property. So with that, I'll stop and answer any questions that you have, if you have any.
Oh, thanks so much. Any questions for Amity as it relates to the proposed bill of sale? Okay. Just for clarification, Amity, now the 750, because what's on the document now, I know it has to, excuse me, needs to be amended. The potable water line is on the document is 486 plus or minus.
That's the
gonna
original version.
change.
There should be a newer version, I hope, on the dais with you. I apologize. It came in a little bit late, but the actual correct number is 750 feet. Can you pass that down to him? A copy is coming to you, sir. I'm sorry about that.
Oh, not a problem. Okay. Okay, and this is the correct.
That's the
amount,
correct
750.
language, right? That will be, should you approve it, that will be what's moves forward and ultimately is recorded.
Okay, thanks so much. We appreciate it. Any other questions for Amity? Okay, staff has any information as well? Okay, David, anything as well as it relates to this item?
No, sir, I'm here for questions in case anything's needed on that.
Okay. And of course, the bill of sale will allow us, as Amity stated, we're the utility company. Would allow us to be an ownership of it. And so we do have the document before us with the correct 750 plus or minus linear feet. So if there's no other questions or comments?
And that's only gonna take care of the homes that's beside it, not the ones across the street, like where I live.
Alrighty, Councilman Davis, who's a little hoarse, is asking, will that take care of all of the homes in that area? So, what's being done now, so, okay.
It's just gonna take care of the homes, it's directly by, not the other 5, correct?
Yes, you're correct. That will only basically provide service to those homes that are on Boardman Avenue on that side of Boardman that butt up to the SROA property, yes. Not to be confused with some discussions we've had about a water line in Boardman, correct?
Okay. Alrighty, any other questions or comments as it relates to item 7B? Hearing none, the motion before us, of course, is, the item before us is, of course, is the bill of sale by SRA to the town of Magonia Park for the purchase of $10 in order to purchase said lines as made mention of. What is your pleasure as it relates to this particular item? Is there a motion to approve the purchase through this bill of sale? Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion, we approve.
Okay, motion has been made that we approve the bill of sale. Is there a second?
Second.
Has been properly moved and seconded. Are there any questions on the motion? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Davis Quinn,
Yes.
Councilmember McConnell,
Yes.
Mayor Alberry.
Yes.
It passes unanimously.
Thank you so much. Our next item is item 7C, and this is a discussion on the renewal of an agreement between the Town of Mangonia Park and Chinmore and Associates, retroactive to October 1st, 2023 for planning services. Okay?
Mayor and council, and I'll also defer to Mitty in just a moment. And of course, Nils is here, and I'm sure she would like to get up and say a word or two. So we've been with Nilsa, originally her company, NZA, since 2015. A little bit over a year ago, the company was bought by Chinmore and Associates. Back in last year, we renewed the agreement under Chinmore, and that agreement did expire at the end of September, and staff is just late getting this back to you. So what we will be asking tonight is that you renew the agreement with Chinmore, retroactive to October 1st of last year. And I'll defer to Mitty on any other terms that I may have missed there.
Couldn't have said it better myself, thank you.
Okay.
High praise. Thank you.
Okay. All right, thanks. Okay, and Representative is here, so we'll come and see if she has anything.
Good evening,
Good
Mr.
evening.
Mayor, council
Okay.
members, Mr. Metcalf, Mrs. Albury. It's always such a joy to be here.
Okay, no, thank you.
I always appreciate when I need to come and present to all of you to be here. And I've been providing services, I just look at it in the contract, since 2015. So next year will be 10 years. And I cannot say enough how tremendously appreciate to provide services to the town. And there's one more thing that years ago, I indicated when we were updating the comprehensive plan that the town of Mangonia Park is like a jewelry box here in Palm Beach County. And I stand by my words. And that's the reason I am deeply grateful to continue providing services to the town. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. We appreciate it, and we appreciate all that you do for us. Okay. All righty, so we do have the proposal before us with the scope of service. We've had a chance to review it. Okay. Ready? I was hoping another partner had come. It was going to beat him up over the rates, but okay. I'm just kidding with you. Okay. All righty, so we have the document before us. Any questions or comments? Our planner is here. If you have any questions or comments? Okay. None? Okay. All righty. If there's no questions or comments, and as stated, having Nilsa has been of value to us, and we look forward to continuing that relationship. So with that, is there a motion that we approve the proposed agreement?
I'll make a motion that we renew the agreement between the Town of Mangonia Park and Chinmore and Associates, retroactive to October 1st, 2023 for planning services.
Okay. The motion has been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Has been properly moved and seconded. And as stated on the record earlier, the retro is because that was the date that the effective date should have been back in
Yes,
October.
sir.
I just want to make sure the record reflected.
And just, I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, one minor clarification, the retroactive date should be September 30th.
September
That's how the
30th.
contract,
September 30th.
that's before you was
September 30th.
drafted, so it'd be from September 30th, 2023 through 2024, September 30th.
Okay, all right, thanks so much. Okay, so noted. All righty, so we have a clarification on the record as it relates to the effective dates and term date. With that, are there any other questions or clarification for the motion? Okay, hearing none. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Davis Quinn,
Yes.
Councilmember McConnell,
Yes.
and Mayor Albury.
Yes.
The date again was September 1st or September 30th?
September 30th?
30th, September 30th.
Okay. All right, thanks so much. And congratulations, we're going to keep you here for as long as we can. Okay.
Mr.
Oh, there you go. Thanks so much.
Mr. Mayor, if I can say, I know she's got to leave, but every time I look at the building across the street, and I have to think about Nilsa because she held firm to how it was going to look, and so we owe that to her. This is a great-looking building across
It
the
is
street.
very nice, and so we appreciate it.
It's a real pleasure. I mean, today when I drove by, like my heart really,
Uh-huh.
so beautiful.
It's a very nice.
It's a great addition, and every project that I've been involved, that my team has been involved, we always have the best ever interest for the town. We talk back to the developer, we make sure that the code is accepted, but not only the code, the aesthetic,
Yes.
which is
Mhm,
very
yes.
critical.
Oh, there you go. And we appreciate all of the massaging across the street as well, so thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Don't forget my median. Don't forget the medians. Don't forget the medians.
Oh, that's different.
Beautification. I know.
Okay. Oh, she's Horace, so I'll just, she was saying, don't forget the medians. Okay. And thanks so much, Nelson, we appreciate it. Okay,
Thanks
have
for
a great
coming.
one. Okay,
Good night.
okay. Our next item is item 7D, and this is just a discussion. You have in your agenda packet, I'm going to defer to Ken. a
Mayor and
draft.
council, in your packet, and I think the hard copies may be a little bit out of order, I apologize. That's what happens when the manager tries to do the clerk's work, and I think, but in your packet is the draft. Mayor Alberry was able to provide this, and this is for a discussion and just to get some input on it. I'll kind of defer back to Mayor Alberry and see if he wants to bring up anything. I know during the one-on-ones that we've had, I know there was a conversation about the amount for breakfast and whatnot. That's totally up to council and how you move forward with that. So, any questions, I'll be happy to try and answer, but of course, this is for council discussion.
Oh, certainly. Okay, so at this time, and thanks so much, Ken. And again, this is just a draft. I'll make sure that I had a watermark, but when you get the next one to have a watermark, just kind of let us know it's not the official, that we're still, it's a work in progress. So if you have any questions, or if you have any additional things that you would like to see, because this is not finished. There's a few things, we just wanted to get something before you at this point. Okay. And that's the reason why I thought let's just kind of get it out there so that we can start talking in terms of just reimbursements. Okay.
If I could just make one comment on the prices, those are actually set by state law. So that
Okay.
$6,
That is state
that's a state maximum, right, state law maximum. So those 611 and
Wow.
it may need to be 19, but I'll double check that. But they're mandates from the state law.
We have this, but this is specific to employees. I don't know if it would follow the same for the governing body, but it's 6, 12, and 21, I believe. And that was during the days of Frank Spence.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
No, I'm just saying the town adopted that for the
Okay.
employees. I
For
don't know about
employees, yeah,
different.
the officials are different. That's right. So, and as I read this, I think it applies to both. So if you want to specify, maybe that's something you want to do as well, is specify employees versus elected officials.
Right. And Amelia is correct. And in fact, the language here, of course, is applicable to all travelers, as it relates to employees as well as council doing business for the town. As Amelia stated, I lifted this straight from the state guidelines. Department of Administrative Services established a rate, and I just lifted it from that. I'm not sure how we go, if the town has the ability to say, well, yeah, we understand what the state is, but we want to do something different. We'll go to attorney. To
On
get some
the
clarification.
council expenditures, I don't believe you have that latitude. I would need to do a little bit more research on employees to confirm that that's still an allowable option, but as I quickly glancing, certainly for you all as council, that would not be an option.
Righty. And my position, of course, would just be, let's just have a standard rate. And I know employees would be, hey, wait a minute, maybe we're losing a couple of dollars, should we have to travel? But I think having two policies become a little confusing and, for consistency's sake. Yeah. Particularly when you kind of consider how often is overnight travel conducted.
Right.
I didn't hear what you just said.
No, I said, when you consider how frequently overnight travel is done,
Oh.
yeah, becomes a wash for the most part. But that's just one person's position, that we just have a standard travel policy. But of course, that's, open for discussion, and we're in the discussion phases at this point in time. Okay, was there any other thing, any other item or element of the draft document that you wanted to comment on or had questions concerning?
Not to play stump the attorney, but Mitty, in this, that $80, is that state law?
That $80 is
I
also
know that's
state.
from the state, but is that,
That's a statutory
Okay.
limit, that's right.
You mean for the per diem?
yes, yes, that's,
And for the coming off the clock, I tried to make that clear, so I gave an example of what is time that can be compensated at another town and what time isn't. In travel time, and I had to do it myself from time to time, you know, where you're traveling and a meeting will end on a certain day, but your flight isn't for 2 days later, you know, that's a bad example because you're still, right. Where, for instance, I've traveled to Tallahassee before, had family there, so I came off the clock, right, for a couple of days, and then my travel time back was compensated, so I came back on the clock in order to drive home. But for those 2 days that I was just there and the meeting had already ended, for instance, on a Wednesday, Thursday and Friday was my time. That was uncompensated, but then my time driving back, because I could have traveled back the next day, but I chose to stay a couple of days, and so I didn't expect my employer to pay me for that because that was my time. So that's what that whole coming off the clock, and we'll find out, we can use a different term or however we want to use it, but just for the draft, for clarity, that's basically what that is. Okay. Alrighty, and as it relates to receipts, that's there as well. Just a reminder that when we travel, it is very important that, particularly at a hotel or rental car, that we get receipts. For accounting purposes, we need to get those back to administration as quickly as possible so that they can begin to receipt things. Quite often times, and they can attest to it, you know, quite often times, you know, the bill will come due and we'll get something from the credit card company, but we don't have the receipts. And so they have to reconcile that, so it's important. So again, everything here is subject to change, removal, adding, making stronger. But I did put put there that we should be no less than 5 business days when we return. That should be sent to them so that they can begin to do what they need to do. Okay? Alrighty, and I'm trying to think of something else. Okay. And if you have disputes, you'll see, for instance, there, when we have, at least, and this is just my understanding, you know, as a traveler, that when there's disputes, we can get administration involved. Hey, can you make some calls? For instance, let's just say the last trip that we took, if the hotel didn't give you a zero balance, always, if you can, always get a zero balance. When you're checking out, can I have a zero balance, please? Because you got a receipt now that states, I'm paid in full. Don't send anything else to the credit card company. When I give it to the town, in this particular situation here, they'll know that's the total cost. Because sometimes you'll get a bill back from a vendor, and it's different from what you walked away with, right? So, and just in your own personal travel, always ask for a zero receipt, and they'll give that to you. So if you have some disputes, it's incumbent upon the traveler initially. If they have a problem or they billed me too much, you were the traveler, right? And so you'd be able to contact them and find out. But if we need to get the administration involved for time and for their purposes, we can do that. But initially, it's the traveler's responsibility to get that information. Okay.
So do you have an emergency number? So just say, office closed,
Mhm.
you get up there at 10 o'clock, you got a problem, the
Mhm.
card don't go through.
Okay.
Now what?
Okay.
Is there an emergency number you should call? Should we have that
Okay.
put down?
All righty. Councilwoman Davis wanted to know, was there an emergency number? For instance, her example was, if you're traveling, you get there and the office is closed and the card was declined or something like that, or you had some issues with the billing or payment, is there an emergency number that we can call or
I'm just saying.
that we can include in the
add
document?
Something.
so, yeah.
Okay. So I'll put that, as
Yeah,
something
you might
to,
need it. You just never know.
Most hotels, like if you're booking in advance, when you book the hotel room, they require 4 weeks' notice in advance for us to submit a check to the hotel. We're trying to rectify that with doing something different with the bank. So unfortunately, you would still have to use your credit card when you check into any hotel, whether it's business or personal. they still require that you check in, even if the room is fully paid. But I think it's just for incidentals.
Yeah, we got it.
They wouldn't be able
Yeah.
to charge you for any of the fee that has already been paid in advance. That's how we've always done it. But we can give the hotel a credit card authorization form via you if there's an issue. We've had to do that before.
So if you have incidentals, say you just don't have no
I
money
have
on your
no
card.
idea what she's
He
saying.
can
If you have
I'll
Just
interpret.
say, hey, you don't have no money on your card, and you get there, you gotta do incidentals.
Okay, alrighty. She said if a traveler gets to their venue and there was a problem with the payment on behalf of the town, but they don't have a credit card or don't have enough to cover on their credit cards, then what do you do?
Now what?
If the traveler arrives at the hotel and there's an issue with the credit card,
Right, let's say the hotel says, we're sorry,
Your
it
card
was
is not-
declined, the credit card from the town was declined, just an example.
Yeah, just
Right,
example,
but the
yeah.
traveler doesn't have enough on their card,
Their own
on their
personal
personal credit
card, now
card to
what?
cover the cost of it, then what should they do?
most hotels normally in the past, I don't know what they're doing now, I think there was a specific incident where we couldn't, most hotels will give you a credit card authorization form to send to your entity, your business entity, and we can fill the credit card authorization form out, send it right back to them. But that's why we want to avoid doing that. That's why we try to submit that payment well in advance before it happens. But if there is an incident, then the elected official or the employee would cover with their own card, and then we would reimburse them. That's usually how, the other alternative. And then you would just turn in your receipt for it, and then get reimbursed. But hopefully that hasn't happened, I think once before it did with one of our deputies. They were over on the other side of, on the West Coast, and we had to do a credit card authorization literally later on that, I mean, after work hours. But the hotel took the credit card authorization via fax, and we were able to do it that way. But most of the time, we try and make sure that that card is paid for in advance. But if you're booking it in advance and we pay for it in advance, when you check in at the hotel, you are still required by that hotel's policy to have your own card.
Right.
They're not going to charge you for the cost of the room, but they might
Charge
put a
you for
hold on your card for
incidents.
like $250.
So put
I
that
think
on
that's
there.
their standard
Could you
rate.
add that
At least
on?
that's what has been if I've checked into a hotel
That
personally, and we've already paid for the
out of
room
your own pocket, 'cause some
in
people don't
advance.
know.
Because sometimes you can
You
pay in
understand what I'm
advance,
saying?
just like a rental
That's
card.
what happened to me. I was like, what?
Alrighty, so what I'll do is add, and Councilwoman Davis is asking if that could be added, of course, we're sort of massaging the document.
Can't hear you.
Right, if indeed we can add to the document, and I was just sharing with you, we can, and then we'll come back and we'll finish massaging it. If we can just add that little clause that, and I was just writing here, should a traveler have difficulty with payment during the trip, they should request a payment or credit card authorization to the vendor, and that, of course, comes from the town. And then the traveler may also use their credit card and be reimbursed, and then be reimbursed, providing that they bring back the receipts and all of that. Okay.
If
The travel don't have.
whoever's traveling can use the credit card, is that
Okay,
correct?
may use their personal credit card and then be reimbursed.
Oh, of course.
Because you don't have an after-hours number.
Right. We would just try to make sure that your credit card's not used to tie up your funds for the cost of that event. That's why we send it in advance. And
But everybody
I know
needs
if
to
it's
about
past a certain
incidentals.
date, they won't take a check from the town, and that's why we're trying something different with the bank.
Right. And what should happen in travel, let's just say that we know that, for instance, the National League of Cities, and I'm just using that as an example, and we look at the agenda and we see something that is beneficial to the town, and we might be able to bring back some resources to the town, and so we decide to go. It's incumbent upon the traveler to make it known as early as possible. So you'll notice, I think I had something in there, everything in here is a suggestion, it's all dependent upon how council feel about it, that at least 10 days in advance. And if we need to, and if the council feels that, no, we need to go further out than that, at least 20 days in advance. I think there was some 10-day clause I had somewhere, I think. If not, then we can add it. Yes, that was for the advances, request for advances for the official travel. And I should have been clear on that.
Also, making sure that, just in case you can't get into that hotel, you can go to a cheaper one, but just keep your receipts.
Right. Now, what should happen, Councilwoman Davis was saying, if you can't get in that hotel, then you can go to another hotel, of course. And that would sort of, I would imagine at that point in time, would probably necessitate using your personal credit card, particularly if it's after hours.
Right,
No
because
one,
after
you know,
hours,
right, and
you
then
can't
just
reach
being,
anybody.
to be
Just
reimbursed
cover all
thereafter.
avenues.
Right. So I think, right, so I think just the language that the traveler may use their personal credit card and be reimbursed upon return.
If they can't
Right,
stay
would-
at that
would cover all
particular
of that,
hotel,
so.
yeah, we trying to cover all avenues.
Yeah.
So the person will get there, and be
Correct.
like, I can't get here, I can't stay here.
But
But
right.
if you can find a cheaper hotel, you can just move to that one and just bring your receipts.
Okay, now, do we want to add something? And, because McConnell might travel and then decide to stay in the Taj Mahal. You know, that's $5,000 a night as opposed to $150 a night. So do we want to put some kind of cap, and the town shall reimburse
You should
at a
put
rate
cap.
comparable to the hotel they were going to authorize?
Right, right, you
Okay.
should put a cap, yes, if the hotel is $350 that night.
Well,
go
you
to
already
$450.
have a cap, and that's your budgeted amount.
I was,
You need to put it in
Not-
black and
not-
white.
Yeah.
no, I'm going to piggyback off that.
Yeah, I
Put
mean,
it black and white.
right, but we want the document to speak as clearly as possible.
Yes.
So maybe adding something like that, that should the traveler decide to stay in an alternative hotel or seek alternative lodging, the town will reimburse at the cost, at the
Right.
rate of the approved hotel.
Right,
Right, because hopefully travel will take place in advance, and so we'll know that at that hotel it was 150. But you want to stay at another hotel,
Right.
great, but we're going to reimburse up to the 150.
right,
Yeah.
that needs to go down.
Yeah, so the other 1,000 per night would be McConnell's responsibility. Because he wanted the spa and all of that, so.
Yeah, you should have the option if you wanna go somewhere
Not
else, you just gotta
clauses
pay
to
for it.
No, I was
That way you cover all avenues, because somebody might not wanna stay at that hotel. You know, they might wanna go
Yeah.
stay at a
If
better
if they
worse.
have specific things they want to go to, let's talk about it.
So I'll add that. Okay. All right, if there's nothing else, and again, if there's any additional comments, suggestions, idea, massaging, speak with Ken. Amity?
I just wanted to update you, as you all were discussing, I confirmed that the per diem meal reimbursements that applies to both public employees and public officials. So those
Thought
are,
so.
those are,
6, 11, and 18,
I thought so. Okay.
so eggs and french fries.
I was going to say my
Coffee and a
cup of
donut.
water and honey bun.
Wawa's
So-
breakfast is.
We'll be eating at the closest gas station.
and the 18 actually should be 19.
Should be
Coffee and
19.
donut.
So
Oh.
don't spend it all in one place, but you get an
Praise
extra
the Lord.
dollar.
Another dollar.
So then it's 19 now?
Yes,
We're
sir.
We'll
saved.
change it. There you go, thanks, we appreciate it. Okay, so I'll add that. Okay, anything else at this point? Again, if there's something else that comes up, feel free to speak with Ken, and he'll continue massaging, and we'll bring it back for review again, okay? So thanks so much, we appreciate it, and thanks so much, Tom, for volunteering to take us camping on our trips. Okay, thanks. Okay, thanks so much. So with that, that's everything we had on the agenda to be discussed. At this time, we'll open the floor to public comments, if there's any comment from the public.
Well, just discuss it.
Okay.
Relating to, I'm Tom Kelly, 1717 Boardman. So there's not water coming down the north side of Boardman, just the residents on the south side.
For this particular thing we voted on tonight, but it's still a very active conversation as part of the septic to sewer on Boardman to have water there, because it's counterproductive. David, you correct me, we talk about this just about every week. It's counterproductive to dig up the road, put sewer, and then maybe 3 or 4 years later, dig it up again and put water. So the idea would be sewer, water, pave one time, and that would be it, so.
And one more question for David on water tank. Say you decide to build that big tank, will the foundation support it, and will there be enough volume for future load out?
Yes and yes, and, I mean, practice would be that we verify the soil properties, make sure that they support the foundation design. So yeah, those are typical measures that we would take in developing the design for that foundation. So geotechnical studies would be performed well in advance, and then the structural design for the actual foundation would be next. And yes, in terms of the capacity, what we did was we evaluated what we term as the build-out condition in the town. So under its current approved land uses and things like that, what we would need, and that's where we landed on those volumes that I was referring to earlier. So yeah, we did evaluate the future build-out condition. So basically, all the vacant lots that are yet to be developed, providing some idea of what they would need once they were developed.
But of course, that's minus the Highlight property.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Sorry if I glazed over that. Under current land use codes and criteria, what's allowed today, and that could change, you know, where if there's proposals to change what's allowed there today, then that would then enter us into evaluating what that option is.
All righty. Any other questions or comments? Okay, thanks so much. Seeing that we have no other public comment, we'll close the floor to public comment. We'll now come to our, excuse me, our departments. Ken?
Mayor and council, I'll be very brief, just to go over a couple of things. So we did receive some correspondence from the Joint Legislative Audit Committee, JLAC in other words. So they're very nice. They really want us to do an audit for 21-22. And they're encouraging us to get that in as soon as possible. Staff is on it. Our auditors are on it. And just to give everyone a little background on that, it was very easy during the pandemic to get behind. So a lot of communities got behind during the pandemic. What compounded it for us is us being able to keep a bookkeeper in place. We've spent a lot of months, years even, without a reliable bookkeeper, someone to stay. I mean, we had Howard for about a year and a half, but then that's been about it. So without the bookkeeper, we have a lot of paperwork to do. Our finances are solid, maybe better than ever. I'm not positive, but maybe better than ever. We just got to get our record straight. So we have hired a young man to serve as a bookkeeper trainee. We have reached back out to one of our previous bookkeepers, Alexi. I think most of you know him. He's going to be giving staff a little bit of help as far as training goes. And we're all engaged in getting this audit done. So we're going to do that. We're definitely going to have it, you know, I'll make this commitment by April 1st to the state, but we did get some correspondence with, you know, in some very nice language to please hurry up. So we're working on that. We're very serious about it, and we know you would want us to be, so we are. Wanted to say I appreciate the one-on-ones. They're very productive for me. I appreciate the feedback. I think it helps during the meetings, and also really, I say, gives me some feedback outside of the agenda that I can take back and work on. To Mr. Kelly's point, with David, I think what we need to do, I know no one likes the idea of additional workshops and everything, but when it comes to the water, we really need to get in a workshop mode and start pinning down some stuff that we really need to look at and what we want to attack first. David's correct. It does seem like we're piecemealing, but I think the way that the funding cycles go and everything, you get a chunk here, a chunk there, but we need to kind of prioritize and see where we need to go first. So I would just kind of set the table a little bit to say, you know, within the next several weeks, maybe we need to sit down in a workshop mode. And also at the workshop, we need to, I'll just go ahead and say this, in regard to the Highlight property, we need to kind of establish an idea of how that's going to be funded, whether, you know, so much from the town, so much from the developers, so much through loans and grants, that kind of thing. So we need to start thinking in those terms. So we'll look at that in the upcoming weeks, and I'll be reminding everyone of that. The manager's evaluation is past due, so just a reminder to everyone, as I've talked about in the one-on-ones. The process is you fill it out, get it to the clerk, and then schedule a meeting with me, and I'll meet one-on-one with you, and we'll go over your scores and what we need to do better and what we're, hopefully some things about what we're doing well too. Reminder that I'll be out of the office the last week in March, and so a little good news. Of course, it's not final until the governor signs off on it, but of course, council went up to Tallahassee in January, and we begged certain people for money. This is not a lot. This is not going to solve our needs at the water plant, but it does look like the town's going to receive $750,000 for the water plant. And of course, that is if the governor doesn't veto it. So, but it is in the budget that's being presented to the governor. So we're going to keep our fingers crossed on that. And otherwise, I think that's it, unless y'all have questions for me.
Okay, thanks so much, Ken. Any questions or comments for the town manager? Okay, thanks so much, Ken. We appreciate it. Good. Galati, you have anything?
As submitted.
Okay.
As far as Let's Move goes, you're not beat the city of Delray, 'cause they're winning right now.
Delray? Okay. I think we can jump in late and beat them. So, okay. Thanks so much. We appreciate it. Any questions for PBSO? Galati? Okay, none? Okay. All right, thanks so much. Oh, you went back to the truck? Okay. 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 We'll come back to it. Okay, certainly. Okay. We'll go now to Amity. You have anything?
Just one quick reminder and just sort of an opportunity for you all to follow up should you need to. As the calendar turns over here to March, just a reminder that July 1st, your financial disclosures are due. Remember this year, and it's been in a couple of correspondences from my office and a couple of reminders to you individually, but this year, July 1st, you'll be filing Form 6. So my intent was to send you individually so as to avoid any reply all sunshine issues to send you. There's a pretty helpful step-by-step instruction manual on the ethics website, so I'll send that to you so you have it. But I just wanted to open the door to, if you have any questions between now and July 1st as you're completing that, since it's a new form, feel free to call me and I can help you the best I can. But I'll send the instructions. I think it's pretty helpful. But again, if you need additional help or you have questions, feel free to reach out, because July 1st will be sneaking up on us here. And that's it, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Right. Now, to that, excuse me, the way I heard it was that it was sort of presented to me, and I kind of heard something. The governor is now requesting that he know all of your business and your income and all of that and so forth. Where did this originate, that we now have to use Form 6?
It changed to the state law that passed last year, and unfortunately, it caught people sort of midstream in their terms. So you may have been elected under the premise that you were a Form 1 filer, which is what you all have historically filed. But if you did not resign your seat as of December 31st, 2023, you must file Form 6. It's the same form that the legislature completes. It's the same form that the Board of County Commissioners complete, the tax collector, the property appraiser. So constitutional officers, the current county commissioners file it. As I'm sure you've heard, it's an attempt to further transparency in government. That's what they're saying. But it is a bit more of an onerous form. So I just want to keep in your minds that this is coming, and July 1st is coming quickly.
And they want to know everything you own that's $1,000.
It is assets and liabilities over $1,000. That's right.
Okay, so just spend down all of my resources and then, no, just kidding.
No, give it away.
Yeah, it's, no, and I don't have any resources, let me be clear. So,
What is all of this about the lawsuits?
There is a lawsuit currently. What ultimately happens with that, there was some pushback when this first came to be before it actually went through the legislative process. There was certainly pushback from the Florida League of Cities, the Palm Beach County League of Cities. There was not a desire to have this. You know, folks from your seats, especially in smaller jurisdictions, this is a big disincentive for people to run for elected office. But as you say, there is litigation. It unfortunately doesn't change your scenario as you sit there today. So regardless of what happens with the litigation, you still, as you sit here today, have to file Form 6, whether you step off the dais tonight, tomorrow, you're obligated because the law passed to file Form 6 before July 1st. So I can get you an update on the litigation. It hasn't gone very far. It's pretty new litigation, but it really ultimately doesn't change anything in terms of you all on the dais currently, because the law does apply to you now and will require you to file it by July 1st.
Okay, well, thanks. And I just haven't seen a whole lot of local municipal officers enriching themselves in office.
Yeah.
You know, but, okay, all righty. Thanks, I appreciate it. Okay. Any other questions for Amity or comments? Okay, if not, David?
Just a comment that, you know, it seems like, you know, they put all this on us, but in Washington and the state, they're above all of it. You know, it's like they're above it, you're below it. You know, just, and it is, yeah, right, it's not fair. You know, if you're gonna do it, then do it for everybody. You know, president all the way down. But they dump it on us, and the rest of the biggity big, or whatever you wanna call them, well, they just keep on doing what they're doing.
You didn't know that it was easier to skin a gnat than an elephant? You weren't aware of that? No, just, okay, thanks. David?
No, sir, I have nothing else to add.
Okay, all right, thanks so much. I appreciate sometimes we have to just make light of situations, and, yeah, but we're obligated to file it, so we'll be filing. Okay, all righty, so if there's no other questions for...
One other question. Ms. Smith, once we file this Form 6, I'm just curious, what comes up out of it? It just get publicized to the world, or, I mean, what, if we file Form 6, we tell all of our business, and then what?
So it is a public record. It is posted to a website, government ethics website. You can currently go on there and see from the last, you know, years. You can see the Form 1 filers, the Form 6 filers. You can see the documents. They're public records. So they're not disseminated, but they are there.
I'm missing the purpose of it, because I'm just gonna tell all my business just for it to be publicized.
I am not on the legislature, so
I know, I'm just
I
saying.
did not have any part in it,
I
but
get it, but I'm just trying to understand, like, what's the purpose? Like, you need to know what's in my house? You're setting yourself up for a lot of, boy, that could be a lot of backlash, robberies. You just set yourself up for a lot of things people should not know what's in your house. If you own something $1,000 or more. I was at a meeting last year, and so many people said they were quitting because I got Rolex watches. I'm not telling that, you know, and they would start stepping down last year. I went to a meeting in Gardens, and I was like, so if you're a cop, you still have to do it. If you've been a cop, they don't care. Like, you just tell all your business, it doesn't matter. You don't, your titles, your previous titles doesn't matter. A lot of the guys like, well, I've been in the military and I've done this and I've been an officer. I'm not telling all my business because I've arrested people and they're gonna come back and know everything I own in my house. You know, so it's kind of terrible. It is terrible.
Yeah, there are decisions made by the legislature that are just head knockers.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All righty, okay, well, thanks, I appreciate it. So if there's no other comments or anything from administration or consultants, we'll come to the dais. And you have anything additional, Councilwoman McConnell? Okay, and I have nothing on my part either. So with that, motion for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, properly moved in second. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. It is carried. Thanks so much, and thanks everybody for all that you do, and thanks for your presence here tonight. Have a great evening.
Alrighty.
I go home and get ready for tomorrow. Down south. Well, I won't see you.
Let me get out. Oh, shoot.
Well, Oh, man. I get up early and miss all the traffic,
Hey, only wish I
but
had
there's
the
no way
discipline.
getting around to coming home.
Yeah, in fact, I always said, and I would always say, you know, if I don't hit the interstate by 3:15, now it doesn't matter when you hit it. It's ridiculous. Ridiculous.
You know, well, I think we talked about it.
How many night meetings do you
All
have
the
a week?
work
A lot?
they do on the interstate. I mean, the work's going on,
You're high enough
it
up,
don't
yeah,
change
you know.
nothing. You know, they
That's
got
good.
they added all them lanes, you know, down in Boca and all that. They
At
didn't
least
do
this is,
anything.
yeah, at least this is a
Because
super long kind of stuff.
technically, when they